Alright, so today we're having a look at Libidius.jp by R 30,000. Alright, so here we are in Libidius.jp by R 30,000, and we're just starting her up. See how it goes. I am really... Remove jetpack. Okay, I'm on a jetpack? That's... Now how do I... R1 is fire. Excellent. This is really neat. Honestly, this is really kind of cool. I was very interested to see how a shooter would be handled in LBP 1. You know, we didn't have any stick material. The movement is not easy. Okay, that is a bit of an issue. Like, the movement is not... It's not smooth or fluid. Now, there's no reason we would expect it necessarily to be smooth or fluid, but that could be an issue at some time. But I was very, like, wondering how they would have handled a... Why can't I move up? It's so hard to move up, though. Oh, I crashed. Is that it? Are we done? No! Wait! No! I didn't want it to stop! Oh, fudge! Oh, now we're gonna have to do all that over again. Now, quick, hurry up. Oh, jeepers. Okay, continue. Replay. No! It's, okay, so it's very tricky to move. And that's gonna cause a lot of troubles when we're actually trying to, you know, dodge stuff. It's also fairly slow. I gotta be upfront with that. Like, the look of it is really neat, though. Well, why is it so hard to move up? Are we... Now, like, I wonder if... Behind the curtain? How would you do this? I'm really trying to figure out, like, how they've got it set up so that we're moving. There's not, if you take your finger off the stick, there's not really a degradation in height. So it's not... Wow, we didn't have followers in LBP 1, so that's not it. It's clear, you've got some grab bit that is... doing the firing mechanism. So that part I understand. But how do we have the ship set up? My friends and neighbors, that's not great. I am a little bit confused. Good confused, like it's happy, but oh my god. You're shooting a lot at me. Oh, fudge! What do we do? We're gonna have to go back to the hub. So, I guess we'll see you there. See yas! And we're back, and Libidius.jp by R 30,000, and this is kind of a tough one, because I'm looking at this in two different directions, but I do feel, to be honest as a reviewer and as a player, that I do need to give it an orange diamond. It's really cool. It's a really neat artifact of the time and, you know, what capabilities we had. And there's some mysteries in there that I could not quite wrap my head around in a cool way, not in a bad way. But, you know, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, if you were, like, sitting down to actually play this level and spend some time with it, and it's definitely got its issues. Now, to focus on the more positive things at first, and this is actually a pretty good recreation of Gradius, the very old side-scrolling shooter from 1985 on the Famicom, or Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, that I grew up with. 1985, I mean, I was tiny then. I was 7 years old. Very small squirrel me. So, like, I was familiar with it. And the bit that we saw, the first stage, is, like, it's pretty decently accurate as far as what kind of enemies show up and the environment, you know, for what we could do. Now, it's lacking in the power-up system that Gradius had going for it, and that's a bit of a shame because it probably would have helped out an awful lot. But that was really, really cool. And to see it done in LBP1 and the tactile nature of LBP1 at that time, or LBP at that time, because, you know, like, we didn't have sticker material to work with, we didn't have any way to make things intangible, that's not the word, immaterial. You know, these are just objects, and you can see that they're created high dissolved material objects, and you got the enemies are, you know, going up and down on the pistons, and there's some mover that's probably another piston, to be honest, that's getting them to go over to the left of the screen as you're scrolling, and they're all there. Your shots are actual physical shots, which is a bit of an issue. We'll talk about that in a second, but like that, it's all existent stuff, and that's really, really cool. And you kind of see the shadows going in there, and it gives it almost like a feeling of playing a diorama, like something that a kid would have made, and like there's actually like a scroller on the side that somebody's turning the crank on to make things actually move. And that's like, that was cool. That was so neat. I played it a number of times, and I was trying to look really closely in, you know, transition scenes when you're actually going to the ship and when you die and you drop out, and I still can't figure out like how that's working. We know that there's a jetpack involved because at the bottom of the screen it has the remove jetpack indicator that's going up. You know, press O to remove the jetpack. So I'm imagining that you're in probably like a circle of grabbable material, because every time you hit the R1 is when you fire. So there's a grab trigger there that's causing an emitter to shoot your bolts out. But like, I couldn't figure out how that bit that's behind the background is connected to the ship itself. It looks like the ship is on a post that, you know, I thought maybe it was like a box and the camera's pulled out so that it looks a lot smaller than it actually is, but that doesn't seem to make sense because we actually drop down, or the ship drops down into the screen. So like, I don't know what's going on there. We didn't have, as I mentioned in the videos, we didn't have any kind of like follower stuff aside from enemy followers. And the, you know, very basic enemies could follow your character, but there wasn't anything like that I remember that was follow a tag. So what is going on with that? And I don't get it, but it's super neat, and I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate the effort and just getting something like this to work in LBP1 in very early days in LBP1 is super duper cool. But that doesn't bring it to a but, and it is deeply frustrating to play this level. You are not nearly as responsive in your movements as you would have been in Gradius itself. Like, getting it to go up for some reason was a real chore. There's a lot of lag between when you're moving the stick and when the ship is actually moving. There's no precision at all going on in there, and so it makes actually getting around shots coming towards you fairly tough. It's fairly difficult. And a neat thing about those shots, and talk about physicality of objects, is that like, you can actually shoot the shots to knock them off their path. That's kind of an issue. Sometimes it worked out for me, sometimes not quite so much. So there definitely was that. You can't actually get killed by touching things, unlike in the original game. So, I mean, touching things, I mean like the ceilings or the floor of the screen that you're in. So there's that, but I still didn't trust myself to get close enough to the turrets that were on the ceilings to actually try to kill them. And the spawners that were spawning ships, and those ships were like would arc over you and they would shoot rockets at you, and I just really struggled with all of that. You get to a bit where, like in the original game, you've got these two volcanoes, and the volcanoes are spewing out little bits of magma or lava or whatever it's called to kill you. And in the original game, there are safe spots where you can actually hide from that. Not quite so much the case here, because things are you know, they're being emitted and they hit other objects and they kind of bounce and they arc, and I couldn't find a safe zone to keep my ship in, and that's a real shame, because right after that section in the original game is where the boss of the that stage is. So unfortunately we couldn't see that and we couldn't complete it. Now I did give a playthrough, and you'll actually have seen this if you've been following the Archive series. You'll see this well before this episode, but I gave a playthrough to Libidius, which is a follow-up to this. It's much smoother, it's much cleaner, it's much easier to play, and kind of interesting, talk about physicality of objects again in Libidius.jp, and everything is dissolved material, so when it's destroyed, then it just, you know, poofs off the screen. It's not really a problem. In Libidius, when things are not made out of the dissolved material, they're made out of the neon material from the Metal Gear Solid DLC pack, which is really cool looking and it's really, really neat. But the problem is that it doesn't get destroyed when it gets destroyed. So when you're in the early part of the stage and there's no floor to what you're doing, and things just drop out and you never see them again, it's not really a problem. But you get later on and you're actually in kind of like a VR setting with actual physical floors and ceilings and walls and things like that, and you can actually get in one section where you've got so many dead enemy ships that are piled up that it can actually get you killed, because they've got the tag that your ship's tag sensor is responding to, and you'll touch them because you can't get around them, and you'll actually die. So I thought that was kind of funny. These levels are really great as artifacts. They're really interesting to play and to see like where we came from in LBP 1, but as an actual, are they fun? They are super not fun. They are, like, they're not, and I'm sorry, I am super sorry, but they're not. And that pretty much does it for us here at this Go About. So, from me, Isco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.